All right. When I say everybody and they mama tagged me in this video to respond, I mean everybody and they mama. I got about 50 people tag me within the comments of this video. People were sending me messages on Instagram, multiple tweets. Yo, respond to this. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? So I saved it. I said, I'll respond to it. And the title of the video from this creator, Stony the Great, is Modern Gaming Sucks. I am going to go over it and see what he says, because it must have been very interesting for so many people to tag me. I didn't have a lot to talk about, so we'll talk about this. But before we get into it, first things first, because I haven't seen this video. I don't know Stony the Great. Also, he a black man, so I'm not really trying. I don't really slander black people like that. You know, that's my people. So understand whatever he says. If I agree with it, cool. If I disagree with it, I'm just talking about what he's talking about. It's no shade type shit. It's sad that I have to say that, but you know, you little bird ass, chatty patty ass niggas will run to another content creator if I disagree with somebody and be like, yo, TBH just talking shit. You niggas act like fucking bitches sometimes. We just talking about the argument. Yeah, clip farming and shit like that. So that, I feel like that goes without saying. We're just talking about the argument. Let's see what he's talking about. All right, modern gaming sucks.
Gaming nowadays sucks, and there's no more good games to play. Saying that is probably the
someone. Hold on, let me mute these notifications real quick. Shout out to Salem Witches with the sub. Appreciate it. Let me run it back.
Gaming nowadays sucks, and there's no more good games to play. Saying that is probably the easiest way to trigger most modern gamers. However, if y'all actually took
this shit got 23,000 likes. How many views it got? It must have like 1 million views.
The time to listen to them people who say that, I promise you realize that they kind of have a point. Cause see, most people.
Oh, so he agrees modern gaming sucks. I disagree, but I'm gonna hear him out. I would say a better argument is modern gaming has problems, which goes back to my argument is always people need to expand their vocabulary. But does modern gaming suck as a whole? No, there's more game releases than ever. But there's more good games than ever, but I'm gonna hear him out.
Most people who say that come from an era where you didn't have to, quote, expand your horizons to find a good game. Because back in the day, if you wanted to find a good game, it was easy. Here you go.
See, I don't like that, chat. I ain't gonna lie, I don't like that. So the first part of your argument is you think it's wrong. People are saying in order to find a good game, you need to expand your horizons. That's not like an argument. Because the opening part of your argument is I'm closed-minded. I don't understand what. Why? Let me ask y'all. Why are we so against trying something besides chicken tenders and cheeseburgers? Why? I like cheeseburgers. I like pizza. I like chicken tenders. But why are we so against that? That's not an argument. I got to be honest. That's not an argument. But I'm gonna let him rock.
Horizons to find a good game. Because back in the day, if you wanted to find a good game, it was easy. Here you go. Here you go. No sports? That's fine. Here you go. Want a good detective noir story? There you go. Want a shooting game with some over-the-top gunfights? Here you go.
So now his argument is there was more variety back in the day. That's not true. There's more variety in 2025 than it was back in this era or any era. New games are releasing every single day, whether we're talking about AAA or indie games. So that's just factually wrong. When we was younger, you had maybe 1 or 2 games that would release a month because gaming was dominated by third-party AAA publishers. But it wasn't really indie games. Indie games didn't really come into the scene until maybe like the PS4 era. They first started to trickle in towards the end of the 360 era. But from the 360 PS3 back, it was nothing but AAA games, really. So to argue there was more variety back then, I don't agree with that.
GTA, but not GTA? Here you go.
Wait, what did he say? Here
you go. One of the shooting game with some over-the-top gunfights? Here you go. Want GTA, but not GTA? Here you go.
So he's arguing not only you arguing that there was more variety back in the day, which is just factually incorrect.
But not GTA.
Then your example for more variety is Sleeping Dogs. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to cook you right here, dog. This has got to be rage bait or something like that. So you said there's less variety than compared back in the day. And then the example you said is back in the day, if you didn't want to play Grand Theft Auto, you played Sleeping Dogs. This is a terrible example. And let me tell you why. This is a terrible example. Sleeping Dogs is a great game. If you follow my content, you know I always advocate for Sleeping Dogs. So don't think I'm talking about the quality of the game. I agree with him. The quality of the game is great. I reviewed this game on my channel years ago, 10 plus years ago, whenever it had came out. But you can't argue that variety for games was better back in the day and then pick Sleeping Dogs as a good alternative to GTA when Sleeping Dogs was financially a failure. Which goes against your entire argument that there was better variety back in the day. Was there? Because didn't nobody buy Sleeping Dogs? Fun fact, the reason we never got a Sleeping Dogs 2 is because it didn't sell well. So I don't know if that's a good argument. Or at least a good example. Maybe you could have used a better example if you wanted to argue for variety, but Sleeping Dogs financially was a failure. So they wasn't checking for this shit back then, which goes back to the original argument of y'all need to expand your horizons because most people did not play this game.
GTA, but not GTA? Here you go. Need a racing game? Here you go. No microtransactions, by the way. This. Even this. I mean, goddamn, bro, I can keep going. Then y'all say
he's naming off tons of bangers. I agree. Those are all bangers. The problem is this era is full of bangers too. Also, if you go back, here's another, and this is why I feel like this is a little bit, I don't know if I want to say disingenuous, but I disagree. There are a lot of, all these things that he listed are bangers, but the problem with comparing that era back then is there was more dog shit too. I feel like we look back at this stuff with like nostalgia and we forget all the dog shit that came out. Like Toomba, disingenuous. There were so many broken, half-ass shovelware games that came, especially in the Wii era. Oh my God. And this is why I said that this is the first time in a long time where I agree with the internet when it comes to dogpiling on Mind's Eye, aka Pink Eye, because Mind's Eye is objectively a bad game. But there were tons of Mind's Eyes back in the day. Matter of fact, the original G4, when it was just Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb, they used to have a whole section just dunking on broken ass games. So like, once again, this is very disingenuous. You sound like one of them old heads that be talking about new rappers as if back in the 90s and early 2000s, there weren't whack rappers. There were a ton of whack rappers. There were a ton. I'd argue there were more terrible, horrible games back then. Now, what I will say is, obviously he's right about the microtransactions part. And that's why I said, I think the better argument is not modern gaming sucks. It's that modern gaming has a lot of problems, but as a whole, it doesn't suck. There's tons of bangers. But I'm gonna let him keep rocking. I'm not gonna lie. So far, I'm disagreeing across the board. And these are bad examples.
Microtransactions, by the way. This. Even this. I mean, goddamn, bro, I can keep going. Then y'all say
The only people who say that are people who only play 2K and Madden.
do realize that those same people are the people who had
Well, that's true. Most people who do say that, they play these games.
more than 2K and Madden back in the day. Let me walk you through it real quick. See, back then, we didn't need to just rely on Madden for our football fix. We could go NFL Street. We could go ESPN 2K5. We could go NFL Blitz. We could go NFL Game Day. Hell, fuck it. Let's do it. NFL Quarterback Club. Bro, we didn't need just 2K. We had NBA Street. We had NBA Jam. Man, I bet half of y'all ain't even heard of NBA Shootout. ESPN Basketball. NBA Inside Drive. The GOAT of them all, NBA Live. We had...
Now, that's valid. I'll give him that. That is valid. In terms of his argument about variety, the first half of when he was talking about variety, I disagree and he used terrible examples. But if we're talking about sports games in specific and variety, that's valid. I'll give him that. Although I'd argue most of those games he listed were dog shit and that's why they don't exist anymore. They didn't sell well. One of the reasons why NBA Live and NBA 2K took over the NBA arena is because those were the definitive basketball games. They were better. They sold well. Same thing with NBA Street. That's the one. There's a reason why most people remember NBA Street and not NBA Ballers. Not that NBA Ballers was terrible. It's just, it was a second tier game. All those football games he named, like NFL Game Day and all that stuff, like they just didn't sell well as the other ones. So also another problem with the variety thing, and I gotta kind of give him a half point. Another issue with sports variety is, at least on the football side, and it might happen to 2K, unfortunately, because we had an article, they just signed a deal with the NBA. The reason there's no variety with football games is because of the exclusivity license. That doesn't mean that gaming as a whole or sports games as a whole suck. What that means is capitalism is a fucking problem. Capitalism is the issue. Like when you mentioned the microtransactions and stuff like that, it all goes back to capitalism. EA is greedy. They bought the exclusive license and now we can't get more football games. But that doesn't mean we don't know if football games suck. Matter of fact, I'd argue they probably don't, because the last time football games had competition with 2K Football 5, I believe. People love that game. So the last batches, and you just named some ones that you like. So like really it's more of a capitalism. Yeah, 2K5. It's really more of a capitalism problem than variety as a whole. But I'm gonna give you a half a point. It's halfway fair what he's saying. There is less variety, but I'm not gonna lie. In the first half of this video, when you talk about variety again, I don't agree with that at all.
We had variety back then. We had options, and those games came complete. They didn't come with no microtransactions. Y'all remember when this dropped? Yeah, this shit wouldn't have happened back then. Stop getting upset with people when they say that there ain't no more good games left.
That's not true. That's not true. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta ask, Stoney, how long you been playing games, man? There were plenty of broken games back then. Nigga, Superman 64? There were tons of Superman 64s, and I'd argue it was almost worse because back then you couldn't patch this shit. And don't get me wrong, Cyberpunk, I hated this game at launch. I agree, this shit was ass at launch. And it's annoying that they patched the shit and they fixed it, but at least they can. But this is a disingenuous argument. I'm not gonna lie, how long you been gaming? I gotta ask. It was tons of broken games back then. Yeah, the Matrix game, yeah, I'm like, is this rage bait?
When you got games like this that come out and it takes them.
Yeah, Sonic 06, thank you. The chat, Bubsy, Sonic 06 is a classic case. Niggas was falling through the map and shit like that. You couldn't fix the game either.
Fucking years to fix the shit. Because when this dropped, it was finished. It was complete. Wasn't no goddamn patch. Oh yeah, y'all remember this? Midnight releases? Ain't no more of that shit. This was a vital part of gaming culture when there was games that was worse.
I think he's being genuine, but he just might be ignorant to the situation. You said it yourself, the sales didn't matter when it comes to great games. I agree. No, that's any piece of art. Sales doesn't matter when it comes to great art. I completely agree. But his argument is like variety or whatever. And I'm like, I just completely disagree with that. What is he talking about with the GameStop stuff? There's plenty of variety. There's more variety than ever. I'd argue there's too much variety. And that's why I'd argue there's too much variety now because games are releasing all the time between AAA and indie that it creates choice paralysis. There's so much content out here and there's only so much budget going towards advertising that a lot of people are unaware of these great games. And that's on the publisher for not advertising. I'd argue the market is saturated right now.
Goddamn patch. Oh yeah, y'all remember this? Midnight releases? Ain't no more of that shit. This was a vital part of gaming culture when there was games that was worth standing outside all goddamn night for. Oh yeah, y'all.
That's not a fair argument. That's not a fair argument. I think that's nostalgia talking. Now your argument is gaming is not great, and the reason gaming is not great anymore is because nobody waits outside for GameStop games. The reason nobody waits outside is not because the games are bad. It's because there are more people buying digitally than physical. That's one of the reasons why they're phasing out physical discs right now. And that's why I keep trying to preach for game preservation. But the reason people aren't waiting in line for midnight releases is not because of the quality of the game. I mean, look at the Switch 2 and Mario Kart. People waited in line for that. Sometimes they will do that. But for the most part, people don't wait in line anymore is because most people are buying games digitally. I believe it's like 70 to 80% of gamers are buying games digitally. Most people are not buying discs because it's convenient. Why go to the store when you could just download it at midnight, especially if you're a content creator? You can download the game at midnight and boot up your stream and get those views. So no, it has nothing to do with the quality of the game. It's the world evolved. We're living in a digital age. Hold up.
Ain't no more of that shit. This was a vital part of gaming culture when there was games that was worth standing outside all goddamn night for. Oh yeah, y'all remember this? Probably not. Couch co-op. What the fuck happened here? Another very vital part of gaming culture that was.
No disrespect to Stoney. I gotta hit the fraud button for you, dog. I don't know, man. I don't know. I gotta question your palate when it comes to games. One of the best games of 2025 is a couch co-op game. Split Fiction. Did you play it? That's a couch co-op game. There are plenty of couch co-op games. What's the name? The Ninja Turtle game that came out last year. And then the other Marvel one that's coming out, couch co-op. It Takes Two, Overcooked. Like I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know about this. And then also, if you want to make the argument, maybe there's not as much couch co-op, maybe. But even still, then my counter argument to that is we live in a digital age. Most people are playing online. Most kids don't play outside anymore. They're not going to their friend's house. They're just gonna hop on Fortnite and hop in Discord and talk to one another. So once again, I don't know, but I This is not a good argument because literally one of the games that's going to get nominated for Game of the Year is a couch co-op game. So then I gotta ask, if you ever see this, did you play Split Fiction? It's one of my favorite games this year.
Swiped away from us because of corporate greed. Oh no, we don't want 4 of y'all sharing one console. We want all 4 of y'all to buy your own console and just play online like a bunch of fucking dweebs. Like, damn, bro, whatever happened to family fun games like Guitar Hero and...
Well, it doesn't make you a dweeb because you want to play the game online. It makes you a dweeb if you play fucking Dragon Ball Sparking Zero because them niggas sip Kool-Aid and Tang and shit. But it doesn't make you a dweeb for wanting to play games online. It's just convenient. It's just convenient. I'm not gonna lie. You sound like the old head, man. Back in my day, we was listening to Nas and Illmatic and shit. We was sitting next to the couch playing Super Smash. I'm not gonna lie. It's giving old head, and I'm old, bro. I'll be 35 in August. I'm old, but I'm not gonna lie. This is giving old head. I miss my childhood type of take. I don't think you that versed in gaming with this. This is a crazy take.
Greed. Oh no, we don't want 4 of y'all sharing one console. We want all 4 of y'all to buy your own console and just play online like a bunch of fucking dweebs. Like, damn, bro, whatever happened to family fun games like Guitar Hero and the Rock Band series? Everybody in the living room stressed out, mashing the buttons when this motherfucker.
Guitar Hero ended due to capitalism. They put it out, it was successful. Then they put out a whole bunch of games. They saturated the market, a whole bunch of variety that we talked about earlier. It saturated the market, then nobody wanted to buy it. It brought down the value of everything, and people got burned out. It's a trend. It could come back around, but the trend just ended. That's all.
Trying to beat that one song. I don't think y'all realize that when y'all tell people that they have to expand their horizons to find good games, that you're literally proving their point. Because if gaming was currently as good as it always has been, according to y'all, wouldn't nobody have to dig for shit. It would just be readily available in their face. Oh yeah,
well, that goes back to my argument. The reason you have to deal, what is he about to say? Oh my Lord. The reason you have to dig more is because there's more competition than ever. I don't think y'all understand how many games, like open up Steam and just go to the new releases section. Every 24 hours, there's so many games coming out. And the part of the reason you have to dig is not every publisher has the money to advertise every game. So like me personally, I never heard of Belantro before it got nominated for Game of the Year. Then I started talking about it on stream. People was like, no, this shit is fire. That game spread old school word of mouth. You have to remember when we were younger, Xbox 360 and back, when a new game came out, it was getting mad commercials because there was less competition. So there was more. And also the budget for video games wasn't as big, meaning it didn't cost $500 million to develop a game. So there was more budget to advertise it. So you take the fact that there's less competition and bigger budget to advertise, and that's why you were more aware of what's available. Also, the world was slower. When games were being previewed, they'd be in magazines. You'd be in the grocery store reading the magazine about the upcoming games coming out later that year. But with the internet moves so fast. We got Spotify, Twitter, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu. There's so much going on. There's TikTok. There's so many distractions. It's easy to miss stuff. That doesn't mean the quality of gaming has gone bad. It means that we are just fucking distracted. There's too much going on. We are overstimulated, dog. And I'd argue there's way more content than ever.
When people say there ain't no more good games left, please stop suggesting these super niche ass games that only appeal to one type of person.
This has got to be rage bait. This has got to be rage bait. Today, I learned that 15 million copies is niche. A game that won Game of the Year and has sold 15 million copies as of 2023, we don't even know the recent numbers, is considered niche. I'm not going to lie. With all due respect, Stoney, I don't think you play games like that. I think you might have played more games when you were younger, but I don't think you're as in tune with the gaming community as you might think. Because I've dismantled this whole argument. I think there's more to play than ever. I do think the publishers can do a better job of advertising stuff. Like an example being Concord, they let that game fucking fail. But that doesn't mean the quality of games has gone down. Now there are problems, microtransactions, motherfuckers is greedy. Shit, Borderlands 4, they just announced the collector's edition is $150 and it doesn't include the game. But I think one of gaming's biggest issues right now is greed. It's not the quality. I know several games right now that are going to be nominated for Game of the Year. It's going to be a tough fight. Like Expedition 33, Split Fiction, probably Doom, Ghost of Yote. I feel like I'm forgetting one like at the top of my head. What would be a better place to advertise to get the games in front of people's faces? That's the hard part. The Outer Worlds 2. That's the hard part, right? Our attention. So when I was a kid, we used to watch TV and movies. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have YouTube, right? So it's easy to advertise to somebody because you know exactly where they're going to be. The problem with advertising now is not only do you but so before, because you knew people were either going to be in front of the movie screen or the TV screen at all times, you knew exactly who you wanted to advertise to. So let me give you an example, right? 2001, Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire comes out, right? If I'm an advertiser and I know that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 1 is coming out and I have a new comic book coming out, I am going to drop an ad before Spider-Man 1 because those are comic book fans going to see that movie. So I'm targeting, it's much easier to target my audience. Nowadays, you got TikTok, YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, Twitter, Facebook, IG, so many different things, right? So not only do you have to figure out what platform to be on, probably multiple if you got the budget, then you got to figure out how to target that audience. So to some, it might come across like there's not anything available. There's not any variety. And really, I think it's just we're overstimulated. There's way too much blue sky. Yeah, if you want to. But I'm not going to lie, man. Oof. Stoney, respectfully, I disagree. You gave some, I'm not going to lie. Not only did you give bad, these are horrible takes. This one was horrible. You said Baldur's Gate 3 was a niche game. Just say you didn't play it. Just say you didn't play it. And I think the unfortunate thing is like people hop on the internet and give these takes without keeping an open mind. Like I said, I had never heard of Belantro before it got nominated for Game of the Year because it was developed by one person. He didn't have the budget to advertise the game. So anybody who knew about that game is because they just gave it a chance on Steam and then then things spread by word of mouth, old fashioned. So when I heard about it, I was like, oh, this got nominated for Game of the Year. Instead of hating, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna buy the game and I'm gonna try it out. It's only $10, right? Same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. The year Baldur's Gate 3 came out a couple of years ago, I knew about the game, but I personally was not interested in the game. It got nominated for Game of the Year. I had played every other game that was nominated. So I said, you know what? Let me get some time in with Baldur's Gate 3 before the Game Awards comes out so I can see why people are talking about this game. I ended up loving it. And I said, I understand. Because before that, Jedi Survivor was my Game of the Year. Then I played Baldur's Gate 3 and I said, I get it. I think people need to stop. It sucks because at the beginning of the video, you're like, stop telling people to be open-minded. Based off this end argument right here, this is why people tell you need to be open-minded, because this is a fucking amazing game. This is a game where no two playthroughs will ever be the fucking same. So well written, so thoughtful, action-packed, beautiful graphics. And then the argument at the beginning too. Oof. You said if you want to play a GTA, a game that's different from GTA, play Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs failed. It failed. So I could argue, you were saying that variety was better back then. I could argue y'all wasn't looking for variety back then either. Y'all was still playing Call of Duty. Because this game was a financial failure. That's why we never got Sleeping Dogs 2. I think you don't play a lot of games. I don't think you know what you're talking about, dog. And that's okay. That's okay. I think some people in the chat said he talks more about movies. I see you talking about Sinners right here. I think you got to stay in your lane and talk about movies, dog. This ain't for you. I'm literally playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. And also to bring this full circle, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. He listed 5 shooters after the transition to sports. The last thing I'm gonna say is like, what's wrong with people saying, yo, keep an open mind? I don't understand, because that was the basis of your argument. I don't understand why that's an issue to be encouraged to try a home cooked meal. Like, you shouldn't be eating chicken tenders every day. It's not good for you, dog. About to replay it because of him. So respectfully, I disagree with this video. Modern gaming does have several problems, and a lot of it is rooted in greed. But to say that there's hardly any variety of good games out there, I'll give him a half point for the sports. That is a unique position that they're in when it comes to the sports. But everything else, there's banger after banger. If you talk to people who really play games like that, most of our backlogs are fucking crazy. Our wallets are hurting. I just don't think y'all play a lot of games. I think, unfortunately, because gaming has gone more mainstream, there are a lot of people out here that play games, but they still on that bullshit where like they're too cool for school. Oh, I'm a gamer, but you know, I only play, you know, bang bang shoot 'em up games and 2K and call, because like you were talking about the variety of games, right? And then when you talked about the variety of games, you mentioned mainly just shooter and sports games. I mean, if we go through this list, Sleeping Dogs. Hold up.
But not. I promise you realize that they kind of have a point. Cause see, most people who to find the here you go, no sports.
That's an action game. Great action game. Action game. Action game. Action game. Driving game. Freaking sports action. It's crazy because this is coming back out. His idea of variety is more like competition. I think what it is it goes back to what I said. A lot of people don't realize they're hardcore casuals. In my opinion, there are 3 genres of gamers, and a lot of people fall into that bracket and they don't know it, but they think they're a hardcore gamer. In my opinion, a hardcore gamer plays everything. They play 2K and they play Splinter Cell. And then you have the casual that plays just 1 or 2 games. The hardcore casual is somebody who plays like either one game and they play it the fuck out of it, or they play like one genre. Like him, he listed a ton of shooter games. So you're a big action kind of shooter guy, and a sports guy, but I don't really see nothing else. And you're hardcore about those things, but you don't really know about anything else. Casual, hardcore casual, and hardcore gamer. But I'm not gonna lie, the ending right here killed your argument. Baldur's Gate 3 is niche. That shit sold 15 million, dog. I don't know, man. I don't know. He reminds me of the Spider-Man fans that couldn't believe Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. I would encourage everybody. I would encourage if Stoney ever sees this, man, check out Baldur's Gate 3. It's actually really fucking dope. It's actually really. We got to stop this. We too cool. If you're gonna be a gamer, be a gamer. Like we got to stop this too cool for school shit, bruh. It's like people that be like, oh, comic books are corny, but I fuck with the Punisher. Okay, so you just like niggas that be shooting up shit, but like I'm not fucking with none of the other shit. That shit corny, bro. This is all also over generations of years, but he's comparing it to what's news coming out. He only picked good games. You could cherry pick new. I can only go based off of what he said in the video, but I pretty easily picked apart everything that he said. I mean, absolutely everything. The Baldur's Gate 3 was a terrible example, and Sleeping Dogs was a terrible example too. I don't know. Teach his own. I wish I can get into turn-based games. Yeah, you know what it is? I wish more people would say that, like, just say Baldur's Gate 3 is not for you. If you're not interested, just say it's not for you. But don't be like, oh, this shit niche. Ain't nobody playing this. If it sold 15 million copies in the first year and a half of its existence, by very definition, it's not niche. $260 million in 2023 it generated, that's not niche. Game of the year, mind you, the Game Awards, millions of people view it every year. That's not niche. Like, what are we talking about here? Baldur's Gate 3 sold more than a lot of the games that he probably mentioned on here. Like, let's see. Guitar Hero is kind of like all over the place. NFL quarterback, NFL The Blitz. He said nobody played Baldur's Gate 3. Let's see. Splinter Cell. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to do that. Splinter Cell sales. Let's go to VG charts. Come on, load up. Niggas act like Elden Ring was it. You know what's crazy? Yeah, like, and that's why I said I think like his palette is not as extensive as he might think it is. Cause like for him to say that, oh, if you get tired of Grand Theft Auto and you want to play a different open world, go play Sleeping Dogs. I would have said like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of the greatest games to release, top 100, at least for me. And in like the last 10 years, came out in 2022. Great open world game. Did you play it? Oh, right here. Let's see. So Splinter Cell Blacklist, which is the last one that came out in 2011, sold 2 million. Splinter Cell Conviction sold 2 million. Chaos Theory, which is the best in my opinion in the series, 2.5 million. Pandora Tomorrow, 2.8 million. The original Splinter Cell sold 6 million copies. Guys, Baldur's Gate sold more. Matter of fact, let's see, calculator. What does that come out to? 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Baldur's Gate 3 sold more than all of Splinter Cell combined in only a year and a half. And he called Baldur's Gate 3 niche. I don't talk about my feelings. I talk about facts. By your definition, Splinter Cell is niche. And I'm going to be honest. I love Splinter Cell. It's a niche game. It's a niche game. We don't talk feelings over here. We talk numbers. What did Sleeping Dogs sell? Based on the video, he proved why niggas is telling him had to keep an open mind. Yeah, like I don't think you realize the game that you love are not as big as that you think they are. Let's see, Sleeping Dogs, right here, sold 2.6 million. Wait, there you can see it right there. Sleeping Dogs sold 2.6 million copies. Baldur's Gate sold better than that. I don't think y'all play games like that. Yeah, we talking data. We not talking feelings, bruh. Sales are kind of skewed because of how many more gamers there are now. You could throw that into the equation. So then what would you scale for? Let's adjust for inflation. What would you scale this up to? This 2 million? 4? Because you can't scale 2 million to 15. Like, what would you scale that up to if you want to adjust it for maybe 5? It still sold more. Keep in mind, Sleeping Dogs has been out for like 15 years. But if you read the comments on his vid, there's a bunch agreeing with him, which is sad. Well, you have to keep in mind the average person plays Madden, 2K, Call of Duty. They don't play games like that, man. They don't play games like that. They don't play games like that. So why would they know? You would need to take the average amount of people who play video games between the eras. 15 years is crazy. It feels like it was yesterday. 4 mil at most. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna bring this full circle and say y'all gotta expand y'all horizons, man. You can't say modern gaming sucks when it's the biggest form of media in the world. Somebody's buying this shit. It may not be you, but somebody is buying it. You can't say modern gaming sucks when the Switch 2 sold 3.5 million units in the first week. The fastest, I repeat, the fastest selling console week 1. Somebody's buying it. It may not be you, but people have to be excited about that. Hold up, I'll drop the link to the video right here. If anything, going back to his argument, if anything, I think one of the bigger issues is not only is these corporations getting greedy with the way they're price gouging for the quality of like some of the content. I think one of the bigger issues we don't want to talk about is the consumer. Not only is the average consumer misinformed, not only is the average consumer misinformed, but I think the average consumer, they only care about themselves. There's no group economics. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is now Metacritic's highest rated game of 2025. The Switch 2 re-release has ended Claire Expedition 33's 2-month reign. People who played this game are all screaming this is game of the year. A game that came out last year that's not even a remaster. Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2 is the way it should have ran in the first fucking place. Is outselling it. That's why people say you need to keep an open mind. So I'd argue some of the problem is not only is the corporations greedy, but then we the consumers enable these corporations' greed because we go and do stupid shit like this. I told y'all, don't buy the Switch 2. It don't really got a lot of games like that. Also, when a console drops, the first batch of consoles are usually buggy. People went out and bought in droves, and then we read an article on stream yesterday about how somebody was complaining that the shit was falling apart. And then what did he do? He went out and bought another one instead of saying, you know what? I'm gonna wait till Nintendo gets their shit together. I'm gonna take this L. I'm gonna go play whatever else I got. He went and bought another one. Some of the problem is the consumer. You enable the biggest problem is greed. They just announced Borderlands 4 Collector's Edition will not include the game. I better not see nobody buy that shit. And guess what? Niggas gonna buy that shit. Greed even goes back to his argument when he was talking about the lack of sports games. The sports games don't exist anymore because EA bought the license, and NBA 2K is looking like they might buy the license from NBA. So I don't know. Overall, I think gaming in terms of quality, if you're looking for the quality, is there. You got to keep an open mind. Try different things. I'm gonna end this conversation by saying this. At some point in your life, let's say you never watched Spider-Man before, right? You're a kid in the 90s. Your friends on the playground are telling you about the Spider-Man cartoon that's on television. At some point in your life, you never read Spider-Man, you never watched it, Pokemon. And one day you sat down and you watched Pokemon, you watched Spider-Man, you said, this is cool. And now, 30 years later, you're still a Spider-Man fan. Do you know why you're still a Spider-Man fan? Because somebody put you on and you kept an open mind. That's why people tell you, hey, it's okay to try different things. You might miss out on something that inspires you. Do I plan on moving back to the East Coast? I don't know, bro. You wasn't always a fan of Madden. You wasn't always a fan of Call of Duty. Call of Duty sold like crazy. Everybody was talking about it. You hopped on it. You loved it. I don't get it, man. What's the justification for buying a video game franchise collection bundle without the new game collect? I don't know. Ask the niggas buying it. I ain't buying that shit. Now I'm going to McDonald's, bro. Not gonna lie, if you can't keep an open mind, you literally can't learn or grow. Real shit. Respectfully, Big Stoney, I think you should stick to the movie takes, dog. I don't think I like Ghost of Tsushima, but here I am. Oh, you didn't think you would like it? It's funny because he was talking about open world games in that video. Ghost of Tsushima is coming out later this year. We just got the Lies of P DLC. Everybody gushing over that shit. Let's talk about what else is going on in the news. That's my take. I appreciate everybody tagging me. I knew people really wanted me to talk about. I don't think I've ever been tagged so much for something. Maybe he'll see the video. I'd be curious to see what he has to say for me based off of what I said. Yeah, Lies of P. Skate Reboot is just months away from launch as playtests open up to all who register before the end of June. EA's free-to-play Skate Reboot is officially gearing up for launch into early access this summer, narrowing down its previous 2025 release window. But first, it'll receive its biggest playtest to date yet, which will be made available to all who register inside starting on July 2nd. That's the gist of the article. So if you sign up for the beta before July 2nd, you would get guaranteed access if you want to try the game. If you want the link, I'm dropping the link in the chat. I don't care about this game, but there's some it's funny because this is another open world game that's coming out that's plagued by greed, by the way, which is my argument. The biggest issue in gaming is greed. I can't believe that man tried to act like there was nothing wrong with games back in the day. Like, did you see Super Mario 64? Not Super Mario 64, Superman 64. Did you see Sonic 06? What was that vampire game? They used to make fun of it all the time on G4. What was it? Ride to Hell? Y'all know that game? Ride to Hell? Dog shit games used to come out. Games that didn't work. To act like those don't exist is rewriting history. Be open-minded to the nerds who play these games. You may enjoy some of these games. You may enjoy them. Redfall? Well, that's a recent one, though. That's a recent one. Ride to Hell. Oh, my God. You took me back. You remember Ride to Hell? They used to clown that game. Or is it Ride to Hell Retribution? They used to clown that game. There's whole Kroby Cat's entire channel is based around making fun of that type of shit. No Man's Sky when it first came out, Duke Nukem 3D. G4 literally had an episode. Saw all those I'm mad I didn't remember this when I was talking about it because he was acting like there was no broken games. All the movie tie-in games. All the movie tie-in games from the early 2000s is some of the most dog shit ass games. Them Connect games? Y'all remember the Connect era? The Wii shovelware? We just had so much variety. Yeah, you had a lot of variety of shit. And the worst part is back then, I'm yapping. The worst part is back then, there was no YouTube. You had to run the risk with your money. Mom and pops walk into that GameStop and they had to hope that game was good. The only thing we had back then was IGN and GameStop, and most people didn't read that shit. You had to be a nerd to read that shit. So a lot of times on Christmas, you got the Aquaman video game. You got the Iron Man movie tie-in video game. And that shit was... And that's why I said, I keep saying, we got to learn to expand our vocabulary, because it's very rare this day and age that a straight up dog shit ass game comes out. Most games that a lot of people say suck or ass, they're just not for you, or they're disappointing. And that's okay. Say that. But a dog shit game, or games where niggas is falling through the map every 5 seconds. The lip sync is off. Fucking the face is melting like Assassin's Creed Unity at launch. Assassin's Creed Unity at launch very rarely happens. That's why I said, if y'all want to shit on Mind's Eye, I'm with it, bro. The Bad Boys video game. T-posing, bro. T-posing. I don't think he played a lot of games. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he played a lot of games. Yeah, we had some stinkers. I forgot. We didn't have no patches back then. You had to stick with that shit, bro. But yeah, playtest. The Men in Black game too. People forget, man. We live in this such a fast-paced era. It's easy to forget stuff. Remember Jaws, the video game? I don't remember that shit, bro. Def Jam Icon? Yeah, that shit was ass. Onimusha, Way of the Sword won't be open world or Souls-like, promises the director. So if you're sick of Souls-like games, here you go. The Onimusha franchise was created in a very different era of gaming, decades before open world titles and soul-like games were all the rage. Next year, Capcom would revisit the franchise with Onimusha Way of the Sword, and the game's director said he wants fans to know that he and his team won't be embracing these modern trends in this new title. Onimusha Way of the Sword isn't an open world game, and it certainly isn't punishing die-hard, try-hard Souls-like games. Well, I can't talk. And it certainly isn't a punishing die and retry Souls-like game either, told the director. While there's no doubt seasoned action game players will be able to enjoy it, our goal was to make a game which gamers who don't consider action games their forte will also have fun playing. In A Way of the Sword, our main focus was to express the clashing of blades through action. The director went on to explain that Way of the Sword is incorporating new mechanics to make the sword fights feel more realistic. Deflecting allows players to deplete the stamina of bosses, which will eventually allow characters to trigger a break attack and destroy parts of the boss. The director also confirmed that the soul absorption ability will also be retained in the new game. So there you go. There's been so many bangers on the Game Pass. If you just bought Game Pass, you would be good for the year. Fucking, I don't think people be playing games, man. I can't believe what I heard in that video. That shit blowing me. That shit blowing my mind. I wish that like I could actually like debate people about that shit. Be like, I'm gonna pull your card. I'm good. Good. Every action game doesn't have a large Souls like. Yeah, I'm not mad at this. The game looks good. I'm curious to see what'll be different and how it feels. It's kind of hard to tell based off this, but we'll see. How do you buy Game Pass for the year? It was in the settings for me. TBH, you'd be making people rethink their life choices. No, because at the end of the day, we talking about video games. I can't stress that enough. That's why I said don't be going and attacking nobody. We talking about video games. I'm not attacking him personally. I don't know him. I'm just attacking the argument. And I'm like, I don't think you play a lot of games like that, man, to make that argument. Oh, if you want an easy flip, ladies and gentlemen, it's funny because we were just talking about Spider-Man. It was announced today. Spider-Man 94 is coming out. It is a 4-issue comic book series that will finally resolve the cliffhanger of the 90s Spider-Man animated series. For those that don't remember, it ended off on a cliffhanger. I think it had something to do with Madam Web or something. I would have to brush up on that. But that show just got canceled. It never properly ended. So they're dropping a comic book series, I think in September, that will tie up some loose ends. Day one cop chat. Day one. This will probably be a collector's item. Cop it. Day one cop. At least issue 1 I'll probably get. Dead Space is a prime example of people crying about no new sequels of the game or they're never successful. Yo, shout out to Dark Misogyny with the super chat.
Since super chats are just a known form of glazing, that means for every donation TBH
we gotta let this shit catch up. These
the chance to glaze. I mean, gaze into Sonic's dreamy green eyes.
I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, Dead Space didn't sell well. That's actually a good point. Damn, that's a good point. Going back to the argument, because he was talking about all the variety. Dead Space would have been part of the variety from back in the day in the Xbox 360 that he was describing. They rebooted Dead Space. That game was awesome. I played it on stream. It didn't sell well. That's why they canceled the second game. Like, that's why people be like, yo, keep an open mind. I think one of the reasons why people say keep an open mind is because we want this art form, this medium to keep growing. And because the problem with games like Madden and Call of Duty dominating the zeitgeist, the conversation is suits only care about numbers. So if they only see those things selling, they're going to continue to make it. And then what happens is it becomes a vicious cycle of people making videos talking about gaming sucks. No, it doesn't. Expand your horizon so we can keep getting unique things. Otherwise, the suits are going to be like, oh, they're only buying Madden. I'm going to keep making college football and Madden. You sure it was Dead Space? Was it Dead Space or Dead Island? Dead Island can go in there. I could have swore Dead Space 2 was canceled. I could be wrong. Dead Space remake sales.
Your super chat is deeply appreciated. Go towards a 23andMe kit.
Shout out to
I need a DNA test to reveal if I'm Taco Fall Black or just.
There's a Dead Space 3. No. We're talking about the remake, the reboot. It is canceled. I know I wasn't bugging. We're talking about the reboot that came out last year.
As a wise.
They said they're not making no yeah, right there. EA is not pursuing Dead Space 2. I knew I wasn't bugging. It didn't sell well. It didn't sell enough for them.
Follows this stream when you could be stalking. I mean,
that's the variety.
Sonic.
He said we had variety back then. They brought back one of the variety games you was talking about from back in the day. Y'all didn't buy it. Shout out to Latin Stewart with the super chat. I don't know if you're a Transformers fan, but please try the Skybounds Transformer comic. I saw it on the store shelves. The artwork looks really good, but it's like 20 issues in. So like, I feel like I'm too late. If I jump in, I probably just read it digitally. But I heard it's fire though. I appreciate it. Would you want to see a Dead Space 4? If it's not like Dead Space 3, where they Call of Duty it the fuck up. You said niggas really don't be buying games. We've been over this. It's a fact. Do I still have that article? Because I feel like I haven't shown it in a while. What is it, 60%? Yeah, here we go. I got this shit archived. I got it saved to my fucking shit, just in case. Friendly reminder, 60% of playtime in 2023 went to 6-year-old games or older. And then people hop on the internet and say, ain't no games to play. Y'all not playing games. 2025. What was, so what, 2019? Niggas is playing Sekiro, Kingdom Hearts 3, Control, Resident Evil 2, Outer Worlds 1, Mortal Kombat 11, Gears 5, Death Stranding 1. This is what people are playing, and older stuff, Fortnite. And then they hop on the internet and be like, gaming ain't what it used to be. Y'all are not buying games. They won't continue to make variety if you don't buy them. Sekiro was amazing. I played Dead Space when I was in middle school. I rented it and played it at night. I had my lamp. That shit was scary, bro. Bionic Commando on PS3 was trash. That shit was ass. But that's my take on all that shit, man. That's my take on all that shit. I seen a man say gaming's dead just because Mind's Eye flopped. Mind's Eye is the first definitive ass game that released this year. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. South of Midnight. Doom. Expedition 33. Split Fiction. Banger after banger after banger after banger. And niggas run. And this is why I said we gotta start calling people out. Banger after banger. And niggas ran to play Mind's Eye when they found out that shit was trash. Just so they could make a video and they be like, gaming's dead. I just gave you 6 games you could play.